Have you ever sensed something was off about someone you trust? Perhaps it was a fleeting moment, a strange glance, a word spoken at the wrong time, or a shift in the energy when they enter the room. It's as if your spirit is sounding an alarm, urging you to be cautious, yet you silence it, convincing yourself that it's just your imagination. But what if it's not? What if that unease is God's way of protecting you, a subtle nudge to see beyond appearances and uncover the truth? Life is built on relationships, and at its best these connections bring us joy, growth, and strength. But not all relationships are meant to last, and not everyone in your circle is who they seem. Some people wear masks so convincingly that even the sharpest among us can be deceived. They may smile in your presence, speak words that soothe, and offer hands that appear helpful. Yet behind their facade lies a different intention, one that may harm your heart, your spirit, or even your destiny. Let me ask you this: have you ever felt drained after spending time with someone? Have you ever shared your dreams with someone only to see them respond with subtle doubt or veiled envy? Or perhaps you've noticed a pattern: someone close to you seems to celebrate your failures more than your successes, or disappears when you need them most. These aren't coincidences. They are signs carefully placed by God, urging you to take notice. You see, God is always speaking to us, guiding us in ways both grand and gentle. Sometimes His voice comes as a booming revelation, but more often, it whispers through our intuition, our gut feelings, and the quiet moments of reflection. The question is not whether God is speaking, but whether we are willing to listen. Are you willing to see the signs He places before you, even when they challenge your comfort or disrupt your expectations? Imagine this: you're walking down a familiar path, one you've traveled countless times. But today something feels different. The air is heavier, the birds are silent, and the once clear path is now covered in shadows. You pause, unsure of why you feel this way, but you push forward, dismissing the discomfort. Moments later, you stumble upon a snare hidden in the brush. You barely avoid it, but the realization hits you: something or someone intended to catch you off guard. This is how life often feels when someone close to us is not who they seem. The signs are there, subtle and quiet, urging us to pause, to discern, and to trust the guidance of our Creator. Yet too often we ignore these signs, choosing to see only what we want to see. We cling to relationships that drain us, trust people who betray us, and ignore the red flags that God places in our path. Why? Because it's easier to live in denial than to face the painful truth. But here's the thing: denial doesn't protect you. It only delays the inevitable. And in the meantime, you risk allowing someone to sow seeds of doubt, fear, or negativity into your life. God never intended for you to live burdened by toxic relationships. He calls you to a life of peace, clarity, and purpose. And sometimes achieving that life means confronting the uncomfortable truths about the people around you. Think about your inner circle, the ones you call friends, family, or confidants. Is there someone who always seems to bring chaos into your life? Someone who speaks kindly to your face but subtly undermines you behind your back? Someone who drains your energy rather than replenishes it? If you felt this way but can't quite put your finger on why, consider this: it might not be your imagination. It might be God revealing something you need to see. God's guidance is a gift, but it requires our willingness to act. Ignoring His signs is like walking through a dark forest without a lantern, hoping the light will find you. The truth is, God has already given you the light, you simply need to carry it. He reveals what is hidden, not to harm you, but to protect you. The question is, will you trust His wisdom, even when it leads you to let go of someone you thought you needed? In this journey of self-discovery and divine discernment, we'll uncover 7 signs that God may be showing you about someone close to you who is not who they appear to be. These signs are not meant to make you fearful or cynical, but to empower you with wisdom and clarity. They are your tools to navigate relationships with strength and grace, ensuring that your heart remains aligned with God's purpose for your life. So as we begin, I urge you to open your heart and mind. Allow yourself to see beyond the surface, to hear God's voice in the stillness, and to trust the instincts He has placed within you. This is not a journey of suspicion, but of revelation, a path to understanding, healing, and growth. Together we will unveil the truths that set you free. Let's dive into the 7 things that God is showing you. Pay attention, for these revelations could change the way you see the people around you, and more importantly, the way you see yourself. Sign 1. Inconsistency between words and actions. One of the most glaring signs that someone close to you is not who they seem is the stark inconsistency between their words and actions. Words are powerful, they carry promises, convey intentions, and build trust. But actions reveal the truth. When someone consistently says one thing but does another, they are inadvertently exposing their true character. This inconsistency is not merely a flaw, it's a warning sign, a signal from God urging you to pay closer attention. Imagine a friend who speaks of loyalty and trustworthiness. They claim to have your back, to support you in every challenge. But when the time comes for action, when you truly need them, they are nowhere to be found. Or worse, they show up only to undermine your efforts or steer the narrative in their favor. These moments of contradiction are not accidents, they are the cracks in the facade that reveal the person beneath. God often speaks to us through patterns. If you find yourself repeatedly experiencing these inconsistencies with someone, it's time to take notice. Ask yourself, is their behavior a one-time lapse, or is it a recurring theme? One broken promise can be forgiven, but a pattern of broken trust cannot be ignored. People who are not aligned with truth will often rely on their words to create an illusion, hoping you won't scrutinize their actions too closely. But remember, actions always speak louder than words. Consider this: would you trust a bridge that looks sturdy but collapses under pressure? Of course not. Relationships are the same. They must be built on a foundation of reliability, not just appearances. Inconsistency is like a crack in the foundation, and while it may seem minor at first, it can lead to the collapse of the entire structure over time. Inconsistency is also a tool of manipulation. People who are not genuine often use their words to keep you emotionally invested, while their actions betray their true intentions. They may apologize profusely for a mistake, only to repeat it days later. They may make grand promises to change, but those promises remain empty. And all the while, you're left questioning yourself. Am I expecting too much? Am I overreacting? But the truth is, God is revealing these inconsistencies to protect you. He's showing you that this person's actions do not align with their words, and their intentions may not align with your well-being. Think about the people in your life who have demonstrated this inconsistency. How often have they excused their behavior or blamed circumstances beyond their control? How often have you forgiven, hoping for change, only to be let down again? Recognize that God is not asking you to condemn them, but to discern. Discernment is a gift, and seeing the truth is the first step to safeguarding your peace and purpose. Sign 2. Unexplainable discomfort in their presence. Have you ever been around someone who made you feel uneasy, even if you couldn't pinpoint why? Their words might be kind, their actions seemingly harmless, yet something deep within you feels unsettled. This is not a coincidence. It's often a spiritual warning, a divine nudge from God to alert you that all is not as it seems. That feeling of discomfort is your spirit recognizing something your mind has yet to process. Discomfort in someone's presence isn't always about what they do, it's often about who they are. People carry energy, and that energy is a reflection of their inner state. Someone who harbors deceit, jealousy, or ill intentions will emanate an energy that your spirit can detect, even if your logical mind dismisses it. This discomfort is God's way of protecting you, of urging you to tread carefully. You might brush off these feelings, telling yourself you're overthinking or being judgmental. But let me ask you this: when has ignoring that feeling ever led to peace? Discomfort is rarely random. It's often a signal that something beneath the surface requires your attention. Think of it as a spiritual red flag, a warning to look beyond appearances and listen to the whispers of your intuition. God has designed us to be intuitive beings capable of sensing danger even when it's not visible. This intuition is not paranoia, it's divine discernment. When you feel this discomfort, it's worth pausing to reflect. What is it about this person that feels off? Is it their tone of voice, their choice of words, or the way they react to certain situations? Sometimes the clues are subtle, like the way they avoid eye contact during conversations, or how their smiles never quite reach their eyes. Other times it's a pattern of behavior that doesn't sit well with your spirit. This discomfort often arises when there's a mismatch between a person's outer persona and their inner reality. They might project kindness, but their intentions carry selfishness. They may offer help, but their motives are rooted in control, and your spirit, aligned with God's truth, detects this dissonance long before your mind can rationalize it. Take note of how you feel after spending time with this person. Do you leave their presence feeling drained, confused, or heavy-hearted? Or do you find yourself replaying conversations, trying to make sense of subtle remarks that didn't sit right? These are signs that their energy is affecting you negatively. God never places discomfort in your heart without reason. It's His way of urging you to step back, to observe, and to seek His guidance. Discomfort isn't always about distrust, it's about alignment. If someone's energy disrupts your peace, it's worth exploring why. Sometimes the most dangerous people are not those who openly oppose you, but those who quietly erode your spirit while wearing a mask of kindness. And when God shows you these signs, it's not to instill fear, but to awaken wisdom. Sign 3. Frequent manipulation or guilt tripping. Manipulation often wears a subtle disguise, making it one of the most dangerous tools someone can use against you. It doesn't always show up in obvious forms like outright lies or forceful persuasion. Instead, it's often cloaked in kindness, coated with just enough truth to make you second-guess yourself. Guilt tripping is its close cousin, a tactic that makes you feel responsible for someone else's emotions, decisions, or shortcomings. When someone in your life frequently uses manipulation or guilt tripping, it's a clear sign from God that their heart may not be aligned with truth and authenticity. Consider the ways manipulation can manifest. Perhaps they frame their requests as though they're doing you a favor. I only ask because I trust you, or I wouldn't bother anyone else with this. These words may sound flattering, but they're often used to entangle you in obligations you never agreed to. Over time, you might notice a pattern where their needs consistently outweigh your own, and yet you're made to feel selfish for even hesitating. Guilt tripping, on the other hand, is designed to weigh you down with feelings of inadequacy or failure. It sounds like this: after everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me. Or if you really cared, you'd do this for me. These phrases don't just sting, they cut deep, creating a narrative where you feel compelled to comply, not out of love, but out of fear or shame. God did not design your relationships to be built on such foundations. Healthy bonds are rooted in mutual respect and freedom, not control masked as concern. The spiritual implications of manipulation and guilt tripping are profound. Both tactics are designed to strip you of your free will, something God has gifted you as a reflection of His divine image. When someone manipulates you, they're not just taking away your ability to make decisions, they're undermining the essence of who you are. It's a slow erosion of your confidence, your clarity, and even your connection with God's guidance. You may begin to doubt your instincts, questioning whether you're truly in the wrong, or whether you're simply being led astray by someone who does not have your best interests at heart. God's voice often speaks through the discomfort you feel in these moments. When you sense that someone's words or actions are pushing you into a corner, listen. That tension in your heart isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. It's God urging you to step back and recognize that the dynamics at play are not aligned with His purpose for your life. Reflect on the people around you. Are there individuals who seem to wield control over your decisions by twisting the narrative? Do you often feel that no matter how much you give, it's never enough? These are signs that manipulation or guilt tripping is at work, and God is inviting you to reclaim your power not through confrontation, but through discernment and wisdom. He's showing you that your peace, your freedom, and your sense of self are worth protecting. Let me share a story that might resonate with you. There was a young woman named Sarah who had a friend she considered a sister, someone she trusted with her deepest fears and dreams. This friend, Alina, was always around during the happy moments when Sarah got her first job, when she celebrated a big promotion, or when life was going smoothly. Alina would be the loudest voice in the room, cheering her on and making her feel invincible. But things changed when Sarah faced a series of setbacks. She lost her job unexpectedly and found herself in a season of uncertainty and struggle. Naturally, she turned to Alina for support. At first, Alina seemed sympathetic, but soon her behavior shifted. When Sarah tried to share her struggles, Alina would respond with impatience or dismiss her concerns, saying things like, "You're making too big a deal out of this," or "Just get over it, it happens to everyone." One day, Sarah reached a breaking point. She needed emotional support, but when she called Alina, her calls went unanswered. Days turned into weeks, and when Alina finally responded, it wasn't with concern but with frustration. "I've been busy," she said, brushing Sarah off. It was clear that Sarah's hardships were an inconvenience to Alina. Sarah started to reflect on their friendship. She realized a pattern. Alina was always present during the highs but absent during the lows. She seemed more interested in being part of the spotlight than in being a true friend when it mattered most. This realization was painful but also freeing. Sarah understood that God had been revealing this truth to her all along through her discomfort, through Alina's inconsistency, and through the absence of genuine care. This story highlights a critical truth. The people who celebrate your victories aren't always the ones who will stand by you in your struggles. God allows these moments of clarity to protect you from investing in relationships that drain your spirit rather than nourish it. It's not about holding grudges or condemning the other person, it's about recognizing who truly walks with you in alignment with God's love and purpose. Sign 4. A pattern of broken trust. Trust is the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship. It's the invisible thread that binds hearts together, creating a foundation strong enough to weather life's storms. But when that trust is repeatedly broken, it's not just the relationship that suffers, it's your spirit. God created us to live in truth and integrity. And when someone close to you consistently betrays your trust, it's a signal that they may not be who they seem. Broken trust doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it's in the little things, promises made but not kept, secrets shared in confidence but later exposed, or words spoken in private that are contradicted in public. Each instance might feel small on its own, but together they create a pattern that's impossible to ignore. And it's in that pattern that God often speaks. He's showing you piece by piece that this person's reliability is an illusion. Think of trust as a delicate vase. Once shattered, it can be glued back together, but it will never be the same. The cracks remain, visible reminders of what was broken. And if that vase is dropped repeatedly, it eventually loses its strength altogether. Relationships are much the same. Each instance of broken trust weakens the bond, making it harder to rebuild and leaving you with a lingering sense of doubt and insecurity. The emotional toll of broken trust is immense. It chips away at your sense of safety, leaving you to question not only the other person's intentions but your own judgment as well. You might find yourself walking on eggshells, trying to anticipate their next move or feeling the need to guard your heart more closely. This isn't how God intended for you to live. His design for relationships is rooted in love, transparency, and mutual respect, qualities that cannot thrive where trust is absent. But the spiritual implications run even deeper. Broken trust doesn't just harm your relationship with the other person, it can also affect your relationship with God. You may find yourself wondering why He allowed this betrayal to happen, or questioning whether you can trust anyone at all. Yet even in these moments, God is working. He's using the pain of broken trust to teach you discernment, to draw you closer to Him, and to remind you that while human relationships may falter, His faithfulness never will. Ask yourself, is there someone in your life who has consistently let you down? Have they apologized but continued the same behavior, leaving you caught in a cycle of hope and disappointment? God is not asking you to judge or condemn them, but to see the truth. He's showing you that trust, once broken, must be earned, not demanded, and that protecting your heart is not an act of selfishness, but of wisdom. In these moments, God's guidance often comes as a quiet whisper. Pay attention. Look closely. Trust in me. He's inviting you to step into a place of clarity where you can recognize the patterns of broken trust for what they are, not as failures on your part, but as revelations of the other person's character. And with that clarity comes the strength to make choices that honor your worth and align with God's plan for your life. Sign 5. Jealousy disguised as support. Jealousy is a silent poison in relationships, often disguised as well-meaning advice, subtle criticisms, or half-hearted encouragement. When someone close to you harbors jealousy, it rarely appears as overt hostility. Instead, it's cloaked in seemingly supportive words that carry an undertone of doubt or dismissal. This type of jealousy is insidious because it comes from those you trust, making it harder to identify and even harder to confront. Imagine sharing a victory, a promotion, a new opportunity, or a personal achievement with someone you consider a friend. At first they smile and congratulate you, but their words betray a hint of resentment. That's great, but are you sure you can handle the extra pressure? Or wow, you're really lucky things worked out for you like that. These comments, while seemingly harmless, leave you questioning your worth and your accomplishment. Instead of feeling uplifted, you feel deflated, as though your joy has been overshadowed by their unspoken envy. Jealousy disguised as support often manifests in subtle patterns. They may downplay your successes, making it seem as though they're not of use, or they may draw attention to your failures, ensuring you never feel entirely confident in yourself. They may even offer helpful advice that steers you away from your goals under the guise of protecting you from failure. These actions are not mere coincidences, they are signals that their support is conditional, rooted not in love but in comparison. The spiritual implications of jealousy in relationships are profound. Jealousy is not just an emotion, it's a reflection of the heart. When someone close to you harbors jealousy, it reveals a disconnection from God's truth, an inability to celebrate the blessings He has poured into your life. God does not call us to compete with one another. He calls us to build each other up, to rejoice in one another's victories as if they were our own. When someone struggles to do this, it's a sign that their heart is not aligned with God's purpose for relationships. For you, encountering jealousy disguised as support can be deeply confusing. You may find yourself doubting your accomplishments or feeling guilty for your success. But let me remind you, your blessings are not a threat to anyone else. They are a testament to God's goodness in your life, a reflection of His faithfulness and provision. Recognizing jealousy is not about judging the other person, but about protecting your own peace and staying rooted in gratitude. Think about the people in your life who should be your biggest cheerleaders. Are there moments when their support feels half-hearted or laced with subtle negativity? Have you noticed a pattern where their words or actions seem to dim your light rather than help it shine? These are not coincidences. They are moments where God is revealing the truth, inviting you to discern between genuine support and hidden envy. Sign 6. Consistent draining of your energy. Relationships are meant to replenish us, to inspire and uplift us as we navigate the challenges of life. But when someone consistently drains your energy, leaving you feeling exhausted or depleted, it's a clear sign that something is amiss. This isn't just about physical tiredness, it's an emotional and spiritual weariness that lingers long after the interaction has ended. God uses this feeling as a way to alert you, to show you that this person may not be aligned with His purpose for your life. Energy-draining individuals often carry an invisible weight, a heaviness that they unknowingly or deliberately transfer onto others. They may dominate conversations, turning every discussion back to their struggles while offering little interest in yours. They might constantly seek your help, your advice, or your attention, yet never seem to grow or change despite your efforts. Over time, these patterns can leave you feeling like you're pouring from an empty cup, giving and giving without ever being replenished. The spiritual implications of this dynamic are significant. God calls us to be vessels of His light and love, but when someone drains your energy, it's as if they are siphoning off the joy and peace that God has placed within you. This doesn't mean that helping others is wrong, far from it. God often places us in each other's lives to support and uplift one another. But when the relationship becomes one-sided, when their needs consistently overshadow your well-being, it's a sign that the balance has been lost. Think about how you feel after interacting with this person. Do you leave their presence feeling uplifted and encouraged, or do you feel weighed down and burdened? Do their words and actions bring clarity and peace, or do they create confusion and frustration? These feelings are not random. They are God's way of speaking to your spirit, urging you to pay attention to the impact this relationship is having on your life. Energy-draining individuals often operate out of a place of lack. They may not even realize they're doing it, but their constant need for validation, support, or attention stems from an emptiness within. And while it's not your responsibility to fill that void, it's essential to recognize the toll it takes on you. God never intended for you to carry the weight of someone else's unresolved struggles, especially at the expense of your own peace and purpose. Reflect on the dynamics of your relationships. Are there people who consistently leave you feeling drained, as though you've given too much and received too little in return? Have you found yourself avoiding certain interactions because of the emotional toll they take? These are not signs of weakness or selfishness. They are signals from God, inviting you to prioritize your well-being and protect the light He has placed within you. Sign 7. A lack of genuine care during hard times. Hard times reveal the true nature of relationships. When life storms rage and you find yourself facing challenges, the people who genuinely care about you will stand by your side, offering support, comfort, and encouragement. But what about those who disappear when the going gets tough? What about those who turn a blind eye to your struggles or offer only surface-level concern? A lack of genuine care during hard times is one of the most telling signs that someone close to you may not be who they seem. This absence of care often manifests in subtle ways. Perhaps they check in with you, but their questions lack depth. How are you? Feels more like a formality than a sincere inquiry. Or they might respond to your pain with dismissive platitudes, "You'll be fine," or "Things happen for a reason." These words, while seemingly supportive, lack the empathy and effort that come from a heart truly invested in your well-being. Over time, this pattern becomes clear. They are there for the good times, ready to celebrate your victories, but when life becomes difficult, their presence fades into the background. The emotional impact of such a relationship can be devastating. In your most vulnerable moments, you may feel abandoned or even betrayed by someone you thought you could rely on. Their lack of care can leave you questioning your worth, wondering if you're asking too much or if your struggles are unworthy of attention. But let me remind you, God places people in our lives to reflect His love and care. A relationship devoid of genuine support during hard times is not aligned with His design for community and connection. The spiritual implications of this sign are equally significant. Hard times are often a test not just for you, but for the relationships in your life. God allows challenges to reveal truth, to show you who is truly walking with you on the path He has set. Those who disappear or remain indifferent during your struggles are revealing their priorities. Their absence is not a reflection of your value, but of their inability to rise to the level of care and commitment that genuine relationships require. True care during hard times is not about grand gestures or solving all your problems. It's about presence. It's about being there, listening without judgment, and offering encouragement without expectation. It's the quiet strength of someone who sits with you in your pain, who prays for you when you can't find the words, who reminds you of your worth when the world feels heavy. These acts of care are not optional. They are the very essence of what it means to love one another as God loves us. Ask yourself, who has been there for you in your darkest moments? Who has shown up not just with words but with actions, with a spirit of compassion and understanding? And conversely, who has been absent, indifferent, or dismissive? These questions are not easy to face, but they are necessary. God is revealing the truth not to hurt you but to guide you, to help you discern which relationships are worth nurturing and which may need to be reevaluated. A lack of genuine care during hard times often signals a deeper issue, a self-centeredness that prevents the other person from truly investing in the relationship. They may prioritize their own needs, their own comfort, or their own version of support, rather than meeting you where you are. This misalignment can drain you emotionally and spiritually, leaving you feeling unsupported and isolated when you need connection the most. Recognizing this sign is not about condemning the other person, but about protecting your own heart and spirit. God calls us to surround ourselves with people who reflect His love, who uplift and strengthen us in times of need. When someone consistently fails to show genuine care during your struggles, it's a signal that they may not be walking in alignment with God's purpose for your life. As we reflect on these 7 signs that God may be showing you about someone close to you, remember that His guidance is not meant to sow fear or resentment. Instead, it is an invitation to clarity, wisdom, and growth. God desires for you to live a life of peace, purpose, and fulfillment, surrounded by relationships that uplift your spirit and align with His truth. Recognizing these signs is not about condemning others, but about honoring the path God has set for you. Each sign we discussed is a whisper from God, urging you to pay attention to the relationships in your life. Whether it's inconsistency, energy-draining dynamics, or the absence of genuine care, these revelations are not meant to harm you, but to protect you. They are His way of calling you to step into a higher understanding of yourself, your worth, and the people you allow into your inner circle. God's wisdom often comes through discernment, a gift that grows stronger the more you align yourself with Him. Trust that He will always reveal what you need to see, even if it feels uncomfortable. These moments of revelation are opportunities for you to lean into His guidance, to seek His strength, and to take action that preserves your peace and purpose. And let me remind you, God will never leave you alone. Even if these realizations lead you to step away from certain relationships, He will fill the gaps with people who genuinely love and care for you, people who reflect His grace and goodness. Trust Him to place the right individuals in your life, those who will walk with you, uplift you, and help you fulfill the destiny He has designed for you. As you leave today, take a moment to reflect on the people in your life. Ask God to give you the discernment to see the truth, the courage to act on what He reveals, and the grace to navigate these relationships with love and wisdom. Remember, protecting your heart is not selfish, it is sacred. God calls you to guard the light within you so that it can shine brightly, illuminating your path and inspiring others. Thank you for sharing this time with me. My prayer is that these insights resonate deeply within your spirit and equip you with the tools to nurture relationships that align with God's will for your life. Stay vigilant, stay discerning, and most importantly, stay rooted in His love. May God bless you and guide you always. Thank you.